Hello, welcome to the SAT Experts Network on ninthperiod.com. Throughout the year, I will be posting materials to help you prepare for the SAT math sections. Today we have about 20 questions focusing on the SAT. If you're confused by anything or have any questions, please feel free to send me a message on ninthperiod.com. So let's start off with number 1. When 70,000 is written as 7.0 times 10 to the n power, what is the value of n? Let's take a look at the steps. Step 1, I want you to notice that 70,000 is also equal to 70,000.0, similar to how 1 is equal to 1.0 or 1.0000 on into infinity. The value will still be equal to 1 no matter how many zeros I add on the right side of the decimal. So in step 2, what we're going to do is we're going to set up the value 7 with as many zeros as are in the value 70,000. So we have 4 zeros. We have 7.0000, which is still equivalent to the value of 7. And every time we move that decimal place over to the right, that's the same thing as multiplying by 10. So in step 3, we're going to take the value 7. We're going to take our decimal, we're going to move it over 1 space, which is equivalent to 7.0 times 10 to the 1. Move it over 2 spaces, which is equivalent to 7.0 times 10 to the second power. Move it over 3 spaces, which is equivalent to 7.0 times 10 to the third power. And finally, we're going to move our decimal to a 4th place, which makes it equivalent to 70,000, which would be 7.0 times 10 to the 4th power. So our answer would be D. What would be the answer if 70,000 is replaced by 700? When 700 is written as 7.0 times 10 to the n, the value of n is equal to 2. Let's move on to number 2. On a car trip, Sam drove M miles, Kara drove twice as many miles as Sam, and Darren drove 20 fewer miles than Kara. In terms of M, how many miles did Darren drive? Well, if we look at the question, they tell us that M represents the number of miles that Sam drives. If Kara drives twice as many miles as Sam, that would be 2 times M. So 2 times M represents the number of miles Kara drives. Well, if Darren drives 20 fewer miles than Kara, then how would we set that up? That would be 2m minus 20. So Darren drives 2m minus 20 miles. So your answer would be B, 2m minus 20. What would be the answer if Darren drove half the miles that Kara drove? Answer would be 2m over 2 or m. Let's move on to number 3. If x and y are positive integers, what are all the solutions x, y of the equation 3x plus 2y equals 11? So for all the answer choices that are given in this question, A through E, we know that when we plug them into the equation, they must equal 11 for the answer to be correct. So I'm just going to plug in. So let's take a look at answer choice A, which is 1, 4. When we plug in those coordinates, we get 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 3 equals 11. So that works. So we know that we can now cancel out choices B and E because we know 1, 4 is the solution. So any solution to this question must have 1, 4 as an answer. So we're going to try out coordinates 2, 2 and 3, 1 to see if they work. So when we try out 2, 2, we get 3 times 2 is 6. Plus 2 times 2 is 4. 6 plus 4 is equal to 10. That doesn't work because we're looking for the equation to equal 11 when we plug the coordinates in. So we can now cancel out C as an answer choice. So let's take a look at D. So we've already tried out 1, 4. Now we're going to try out 3, 1. So 3 times 3 is 9. Plus 2 times 1 is 2. 9 plus 2 equals 11. So that works as well. So we know that the answer is D because it has both of the coordinates that work to equal 11 in our equation. Let's move on to number 4. A company's profit, P in dollars, for producing X machines in one day is given by P equals 500X minus 20X squared. If the company produces 10 machines in one day, then according to this formula, what is the profit for that day? Well, they give you the equation for profit in dollars, which is 500x minus 20x squared, and they give you the number of machines, which is 10. So all you have to do is just plug in the number of machines in order to get the profit in dollars. So when we plug in 10 into this equation, we get 500 times 10, which is 5,000, minus 20 times 100, which is 2,000, and we get 3,000 or $3,000. So our answer would be C. Let's move on to number 5. What is the average or arithmetic mean of the three quantities in the list above? Well, what is an average? Average equals the sum of the values divided by the total number of values. So, for example, if we were trying to find out someone's points per game average during a basketball season, we would take their total number of points that they scored during the season and just divide by the total number of games. An example that I give here is if you were trying to find the average of the values 1 and 2, you essentially just add 1 plus 2 and divide by 2, which is the total number of values. So you get 3 over 2 or 1.5 as your average. So we're just going to do the same thing with the quantities that they give us. So we're going to add 12 minus n plus 12 plus 12 plus n. And we're going to get 12 minus n plus 12 plus 12 plus n once we simplify and get rid of those parentheses. We have a negative and a positive n, so we know that those cancel out. So we're left with 3 12 values, and we just add those up. That equals 36. So now we have the sum. Now we're going to divide by the total number of values, which is 3. So 36 divided by 3 gives us 12. So the average is B, 12. What is the answer if there were 4 quantities? 12 minus n, 12, 12 plus n, and 4 will be the average of those quantities. Your answer would be 10. Let's move on to number 6. An isosceles triangle ABC above, segment AM and CM are the angle bisectors of angle BAC and angle BCA. What is the measure of angle AMC? Well, the key that they give you is that this is an isosceles triangle. So you know that the two base angles A and C have to be equal to each other. And we know that a triangle is 180 degrees, so make sure you remember that. Bisect also means to cut in half. So segment AM will cut angle A in half, and segment AM will cut angle A in half, and segment CM will cut angle C in half. Due to the fact that this is an isosceles triangle, as I mentioned before, we know that angle A is equal to angle C. And we also know that angle A over 2 is going to be equal to angle C over 2. Angle A is equal to angle C, so if we divide it by 2, 3, or whatever the number is, they're always going to be equal. So if they're 180 degrees in a triangle, and we subtract angle B in the large triangle ABC, then we know angle A and angle C are equal to each other. Those two angles have to add up to equal 140 degrees. So what two numbers, when added together, that are equal to each other, equal 140 degrees? 70. So angle A and angle C in the large triangle ABC are both equal to 70. So now we just want to cut those in half so that we know what those angles are in triangle AMC. So angle A over 2 is equal to angle C over 2, as we mentioned in step 2. 70 divided by 2 equals 35. So angle A within triangle AMC is 35 degrees, and angle C would be 35 degrees as well. So now we just have to solve for M. That's easy. They're 180 degrees in a triangle. So in that small triangle, we're going to take 180 minus 35 minus 35, and that's going to give us 110 degrees. So our answer would be A, 110.